Today we are talking sewing projects as I walk you through how I do my Selkie alterations. Hello, you lovely, wonderful person. Thank you for being here. So a couple of you have asked how I do the alterations to my Selkie dresses. I have altered at this point, I want to say 5 Selkie dresses, 4 or 5, and I kind of have the process down now. I've done it enough times that I know what I'm doing. And I want to share that with you in case you ever want to alter your dresses, because let's face it, when you buy a piece of clothing, it's not made specifically for you, and sometimes it needs a little tweaking to make it perfect. The first thing that we're going to cover quickly is a sleeve alteration. I recently purchased Selkie's Romantics dress in the unicorn print, which is a lovely style, but it has long sleeves. And I know a lot of people just scrunch those sleeves up to their elbows, but I cannot stand long sleeves. I mean, I know I'm wearing them right now for the video, but if I weren't, I would have them pulled up or rolled up. I can't stand stuff being around my hands. I work with my hands a lot. So I knew when I bought the dress that I would be altering the sleeves. The very first thing that I do before I ever cut is that I do a little mock-up in a picture just to see if it's something I would be interested in doing. So I took the original photo of the Selkie Romantics dress and I did a little mock-up where I shortened the sleeves on it to see how it would look. I really liked it. I thought that it looked great, and I thought that it was really more my style. So the next step when the dress came in was to measure and start cutting. I originally intended to do a video of the entire process, but of all the Star Wars movies, Rogue One is probably my favorite of the new ones. And Cassian Andor from Rogue One just got his own TV show and the first episode released, so I ended up watching that while I was shortening the sleeves on the dress instead of doing a video. Sorry about that, but we'll walk through it quickly anyway. It's not that complicated of a process. So after I got the dress in, I measured its sleeve length, and then I found a dress with sleeves that were similar that had the length I wanted. So I used this Love Letters dress, and I measured from the elastic, not the ruffle, because the Romantics doesn't have a ruffle. I measured the length of it to the bottom ruffle, and it was about 13 inches, which is about 33 centimeters. So I left it at 14 inches to give myself a little seam allowance whenever I sew this bottom ruffle. Here's where I messed up, and I want to save you from doing the same. I didn't measure underneath the sleeve on the underside, and I really should have measured that as well. And it was about 9 inches, so I should have made it, I guess, about 10. But I didn't. I measured down 14 and I cut. So whenever I wear it, the sleeve does pull up just slightly because it seems like it's a little too short. And I think I just needed to make it a little bit longer so that it would fit properly. So after I measured, I chalked a line and then I cut, and I cut straight across. So here's the sleeve, and you can see that it is, after it's all sewn up, it is about 13 inches, the same as the other one. Now the underneath side is only 5. That's where I messed up. I know now how to do it, and I will not make that mistake again. So I should have measured the underside of the sleeve and come down to about 10 inches and then connected those lines and cut that way. I'm getting smarter. I'm learning as I go. After I had cut, my next step that I did was that I went ahead and I hemmed this. So I rolled it under twice, ironed and pinned it as I went, and then I sewed in this little hem on the ruffle. After I had hemmed this ruffle, I measured around my arm. I measured out that length in elastic and in a casing. I did not make this casing, I bought this casing. Then I tacked it to the inside, and basically I tacked it around the center by hand. Then I went through and sewed it at either side. And once that was sewed on, I left the opening right here on the underarm seam, and I threaded through my elastic band using a safety pin on one end so that you don't lose it in there. So the safety pin threaded through this casing, brought it out the other side. I sewed the elastic together, then folded over this casing and sewed it so that it is nice and neat and closed. And now I have a Romantics dress that is custom to the sleeve length that I like. For the cotton Ritz dress, I have done this a number of times. The Ritz dress comes with a ruffle, which is very, very long. It is approximately 20 inches long, which for me at 5'6" is dragging the ground so badly that I can't walk. So I have to take some length off it if I ever want to wear it. In the past, with the previous couple of dresses I've done this with, I've taken off half the ruffle, and that was about 10 inches of ruffle. Now, I feel like that's just a little bit too short, actually. I wanted this dress to be longer because I think it's just a little bit more grand with this print. It needed to be a little bit more princessy. So I only took 5 inches off of this ruffle. That left it nice and long so that it is almost touching the ground. And here's how I did it. First, I laid the dress out and I measured up from the bottom 5 inches and marked it. I went around, I would scooch over just a couple inches, just a few centimeters, scooch over and then mark again. And I measured this way all the way around the ruffle. This takes time because this ruffle is a lot of fabric. After I had measured and made my marks, then it was time to cut. This is always a little scary because you're always afraid that you're going to be making an uneven line. But really, if you've done your measuring properly, you shouldn't have a problem with that. And even if it is slightly uneven, that tends to be hidden in all the folds of fabric. After I cut, I could already tell that this dress felt so much better. It felt so much more natural for my height, so I wasn't going to be tripping on it, and I was much happier with it. And the last thing that I did was just to roll the fabric under twice and then sew a hem. I will say that this took almost an entire spool of the bobbin and thread that I used because, again, this is a lot of fabric you're dealing with. It is quite a long ruffle. The final thing that I did to this Ritz dress, because I bought this at Free People, and although Selkie carries a complete size range from double extra small all the way up to 6X, the shops that carry Selkie don't always carry that range. Free People only had this in an extra small, which I knew was going to be a couple inches too big around the waist for me, but I wanted it badly enough. I bought it and I figured I would alter it myself. So I did have to take a couple of inches off the bust and the waist. And the way that I did that, I did it without cutting because I don't like to cut this part of the dress. And I wanted to be able, let's say I gain a few pounds. I want to be able to take the dress out and still keep it and wear it. So here's what I did. I just basically measured over about an inch from the waist. So you can see right here, this is where I started sewing, was just the waist. And then I just folded it over and sewed it up. You can see that. So it is still there on the inside. I did not cut anything. And now I have a dress that fits in the bodice. All right. Let's try this on and take a look at the finished result. So this is the finished result, and I want you to take note of the fact that when I drop it, you can still see my feet because it's no longer dragging the ground. And that was the whole purpose of this, was to be able to have a dress that I could wear without stepping on it, and so that it wouldn't just sit in the closet waiting for a special occasion that may never come. It's now something I can wear basically anytime I want. I also did the alterations to the bodice, and I did these by hand, so I'll show you the stitching. It's not perfect, but it is serviceable, and the dress fits correctly now. This is the finished product, and I am just beyond thrilled with it. Thank you so much for joining me for this video about how I alter my Selkie dresses. I'm doing this quite a bit with a lot of my clothes, and I'm actually getting pretty good at it. So I hope that it's encouraged you to do the same with your clothing, especially when you're working with cotton. it's a very easy fabric to deal with. Organza is not so easy. I don't mess with those a lot, but cotton's very easy. So I hope this has encouraged you to maybe start trying tailoring your own clothes so that they fit you the way that you deserve your clothes to fit. They fit you like they're made for you. If you're still nervous, but you say, oh, I want my clothes to fit like that, but I'm not brave enough to cut on them, take them to a tailor. There are tailors out there that only charge, anywhere from $10 up to $100 for major alterations, but you've already spent all this money on this gorgeous dress. Why not drop a little bit more and have it fit you like it's made for you? It's worth every penny, I promise. So thank you for joining me, and I do have more videos on the way. I never know when I'm going to put them out there, so you just got to subscribe if you want to find out when the newest video is out. And you can always follow me on my blog or Instagram. I'll see you soon. Bye.